Hello, and welcome back to Cabin Cast Reviews. It's very almost just Cabin Cast now because it's been an awful while since this film came out. But we've also still not technically reviewed Dune or Eternals yet, and they came out even longer ago. So it's fine. I'm Oliver, and I'm joined today by Jamie.
Hello.
And Emily.
Hello.
And we are here to talk about Spider-Man No Way Home, because I had not said that yet, and that's probably quite important. Yes. We have all seen this film.
Yes, I saw it on the day it was released. I went with mum's friend who took his daughter, who is a massive MCU fan.
Yeah.
And I've seen it about 3 or 4 times.
Wow.
Wow.
But we got to see it on the first day it came out.
Very cool. What about you, Emily?
Oh, I'm going to have to stretch my brain a little bit and try and remember. I think, when did I go see it? It was a Monday. I now remember it was a Monday. I had to wait 5 days to avoid spoilers. That was a very hard thing to do. I just logged off every social media possible. I went with my sister. I only seen it the once.
Same. I wanted to see it more, but it's COVID was still a bit of a, because we just said Omicron was pretty big in December, so
it was one of those weird experiences, wasn't it? Because you had to wear a mask like the whole thing.
Because I've started, I did Cineworld Unlimited again, so I've been quite a few times.
Okay.
So I got more used to just wearing a mask the whole time, and you kind of just forget it's there. But I went and saw it in IMAX on a Sunday morning, I think, at like 9 o'clock. So like it'll be the least busy here, but I can still see it in IMAX, and it wasn't too busy. It was not busy, but it wasn't full. And I was like, I think a week or two after it came out, and I was just very careful. But luckily, I follow a lot less Marvel stuff. The big issue for me is Star Wars stuff, because Star Wars things come out on Wednesdays now. To be fair, when Loki and stuff was coming out, that was on a Wednesday, and we did have trouble with that, but we record on Fridays usually, and so it's like avoid, and it doesn't always work, but I managed to avoid spoilers. I knew, like everyone knew, that the other Spider-Men were basically going to be in it, but everything else that happened,
I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's great for you. You don't see a lot of things.
I don't think I even saw a trailer for it.
Which is great.
That's even better.
I mean, I remember when I was like, hey, Jamie, do you want to go see Shang-Chi? And you're like, that is a film. And I was like, yes, it is. Do you want to see it? And you're like, I didn't know this existed. But yes, let's do that. But yeah, I mean, that's great if you didn't know they were going to be in it or anything.
The only bits I saw was in I think I did see one trailer when it was first teased, which was the bit on the bridge where Dr. Octopus shows up, and then you just see a Green Goblin bomb.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was a good trailer.
That was the only trailer I saw.
So the other key thing I suppose to mention is, Jamie, you've seen the other Spider-Man films, but a while ago, and not Far From Home.
That is correct.
That was my reaction as well.
Interesting.
You know what happens,
obviously,
but you haven't actually seen it. Would recommend. I quite enjoyed it when that one came out.
Yeah. That's good.
What about you, Emily, in regards to the original Spider-Man trilogy?
Yeah,
and
so
the ones?
Yeah, I remember watching the original Sam Raimi trilogy back a very, very long time ago. I've still got it on DVD. It's just up in the loft somewhere.
Yeah, sure.
And I had after watching this, I was like, I want to watch them all again. And obviously, for memes and all the rest of it.
Yes.
Obviously, it's in the loft, so I can't get to it. And then I watched the Mark Webb Amazing Spider-Mans. I've seen both of those.
Yeah.
I think went to go see, was it not Amazing Spider-Man 2 in IMAX a long, long time ago?
I think I was with you for that. I think the 5 of us went.
Yes.
'Cause that was my first ever experience with IMAX.
Yes, that was it. And I think I've only seen it that one watch. I've not actually watched 2 back since then, I think.
Fair.
So that's I've seen all of them, and obviously saw the new Tom Holland ones.
Yep.
Watched I'm trying to remember which one in order. It's Homecoming,
Far From Home, and No Way Home.
I get Far From Home and No Way Home very mixed up. About a couple of days a week before the actual film, because I thought I need to know, because I actually watched the trailer.
Yeah.
The new one where they clearly say the spoiler. We can obviously discuss spoilers here, can't we?
So we will, which is a good point. Spoilers for this film.
I'm going to
It's
spoil
been
it.
long enough that it doesn't matter, I don't think, at this point. So, yeah.
You know when Mysterio dies?
Yes.
I watched that trailer where they clearly say that, and I hadn't even seen the film.
Whoops.
Oops. I just sort of just paid it no attention. I was like, okay, I'll probably figure it out.
Fair.
Probably. Even though it was really well done, actually.
Mm-hmm.
How it was all that plot in that film was done.
Yeah, I did like that one for that as well, for sure. Yeah. I didn't see Far From Home when it came out in cinemas. That was kind of before I got back into Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
What's the first Marvel film I saw in cinemas? It might have been Endgame.
Ooh.
I saw Iron Man 3, again, years ago when that came out, and I think it might have been Endgame was the next one.
Those were the first ones you saw in the cinema. So did you watch the others on DVD?
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't. When Iron Man came out, we watched it at school, and I was really not that into like violent stuff at all. And the opening of Iron Man, it's pretty violent.
Yeah.
So that kind of put me off for quite a while. Then I saw the first Avenger, which I really quite enjoyed, at my friend's house. Then I got Iron Man 2 from Jack, and I loved that film. I know it's not good, but I love it. It's that
I remember
one that
when we
I
had
really
that whole
enjoy.
Iron Man discussion, and I feel like we're about to have it again.
No, we're not. We're going to brush past it because we
Part
don't
two.
have time.
Yeah.
Then I saw the Incredible Hulk at some point back then as well, and quite enjoyed that. And then I kind of saw the first phase, bits and pieces all over the place. I saw Thor much later. I saw Avengers again at my friend's house. I saw Avengers Civil War like a summer thing. Most of... I saw Ant-Man and the Wasp at the cinema. Ant-Man and the Wasp was the first one I saw because that came out... Captain Marvel.
That came first.
Captain Marvel,
Yeah.
that's what it was. I'm just slowly going back through the films because I know I didn't see Infinity War at the cinema because, again, I didn't care just about back then. And then I think I got my Unlimited... Or we started doing Cabin Cast, I think. Properly-ish around that time. And so we went and saw Captain Marvel. And then I saw Ant-Man and the Wasp because Ant-Man I really liked. And so then we saw Endgame. And...
I've watched Ant-Man, but not Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I've not seen either of them.
Because I think I've seen more of them in the cinema than you have.
Oh, I think so.
But in terms of the order and where they stand in the MCU, they make no sense to me. I just watched them because they're good films. I don't really piece them together into this timeline.
Everything since Captain Marvel, I believe, I have now seen in the cinema. I saw Eternals in the cinema. I saw Black Widow in the cinema. I saw Shang-Chi in the cinema with you, obviously. And then I saw Spiderman. And we'll see whatever's next. I don't remember what's next.
I think it was going to be Morbius, but Morbius got delayed again.
True.
Until April 1st, which is the best release date for films.
And I mean, that's technically not MCU, is it, either?
It's Sony, but a lot of people speculate with, especially how the film ended.
Indeed,
with this
we'll
one.
discuss that, yeah. That one's complicated. So there's Morbius, and then is it
Doctor Strange?
Doctor Strange?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's going to be good.
If we've muddled this up, then I'm sorry. But, yeah.
I think that's next.
I think that's pretty soon, for sure. But yeah, so for this film, I've also seen all the Raimi films a long time ago, and I saw Amazing Spider-Man quite a few times. I think of the two previous ones, but I think people are now looking back and be like, oh. Never been in question in the first place, but also just going back and watching Andrew Garfield lie. It's hilarious.
I think the funniest
2 years?
Yeah.
I may have over-exaggerated, but because obviously it was delayed as well. So
in it.
I'm not in it. They didn't call me. It's not happening.
I think
Then it got
yeah.
delayed, and so for even longer, you would be like, I'm not in it. Promise, it's not. I'm not in it. I swear to you, I am not in this film.
I remember there was this one leaked image of him that popped up. I don't know whether anyone saw it, but it was like, you know, the scene where they're all on the scaffolding.
Yeah,
and it's like a really like grainy sort of. You can clearly tell it's like a set photo.
It's like green screen with these railings, basically.
And I remember that I think I watched it. It was like one talk show he was on, and I remember he said like, he was like, "Did you see this?" He was like, "Yes, I did see the image. It's a Photoshop," and that was his excuse to like try and like cover it.
And then Corridor Crew covered that, and they were like, "Not sure. It might be, but it might not be." And I don't think it was. I think it was an actual thing. But again, it was one of those things where everyone was pretty sure that he was in it.
There was no concrete
But
evidence.
there was no concrete evidence.
Constantly denying.
And the other cameo, have you seen Daredevil?
No.
So when you saw the lawyer at the
I
start
knew it was
of the
him.
film, you knew it was him.
I knew it was
Cool,
dead. I knew it was dead.
I didn't know about that one.
That scene was amazing.
That was so cool when he grabs the brick and he's about to grab the brick and he's like, I'm a good lawyer.
I thought, how do you do that? Yeah, I'm a good lawyer.
Have you guys seen Hawkeye?
Yes.
No, I really want to.
Okay.
Oh, not the film.
There is no film.
I've seen the
The
have I
TV
seen the
show.
suit? Am I?
Series.
Oh no, I'm getting confused with the Winter Soldier and
Falcon
Oh,
Winter Soldier.
Falcon Winter
I've not
Soldier.
seen Hawkeye.
Okay.
No.
Recommend Hawkeye. It's a lot of fun. I won't say anything about that then because it's just interesting that they came out at a similar time and there were some similar things that kind of happened in a way.
One thing I'll quickly mention before we get too far off of the whole covering up his appearance in the film. Not that bad.
Well, no, you were out here and it's you got to speak into the front part of the microphone.
Well, I should have made it round.
Okay, continue with what you were going to say, Jamie.
But it was a really nice experience is when you're in the cinema
Yeah.
and you see the old Spiderman show
Yeah.
up and how everyone's reactions who
Yeah.
are really into the suit go like,
yes!
It's really interesting because I mean, I don't know about you guys, but occasionally I'll like watch those like audience reactions where you just hear the people, and people are a lot more vocal in America.
Yes.
Like here, it's like you're watching a film, you'll be quiet because we are watching this film. We don't want to hear you talking. But occasionally, you will get places where it's just so.
But it wasn't
such a big
disrespectful.
thing.
It was. You could tell it was just sort of giddy excitement.
Yeah.
Oh no, absolutely.
And then it immediately sort of died down because they wanted to listen to what was going on as well. But I remember watching a bit of like a live American response to, I think it was Endgame.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was just every 5 minutes there was just cheering or
You'd want to go and see like you're going to see maybe like because I saw Endgame back to back with Infinity War at midnight.
Yes,
when it came out.
I was with
You
you.
were with me.
Oh,
And
nice.
so that was like with fans
Yes.
and super fans, and it was quiet. There were obviously like when Iron Man died and stuff, there was sadness, and you could tell that, but it wasn't loud. Whereas if
you
you
could
go
just
to
sort of
America,
sense
it's
the
like,
atmosphere
the whole time.
You could just sense the atmosphere in the whole theatre. Was just
Exactly.
wasn't expecting that.
No shad. Because it's just British people fulfilling the stereotype of being polite. And
We're very
stuff like
courteous,
that.
aren't we?
It's
in the
true.
cinema.
But yeah, absolutely. When Ned did the portals, and you saw, and it was like, is it him? It's him, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's him. And then it was him, and then it was also him. We are just going to jump around all over the place and just kind of discuss this because there's a lot to discuss. So it's not going to be real order, but I suppose we should probably try and start at the start of the film. Now that we've talked for like 20 minutes about all sorts of things. The start of the film, again, we've talked about lawyerness and how people suck.
Yes.
Unsurprisingly. As soon as one guy on the internet says something, everyone believes them, and then it's like, well, Spider-Man's a murderer now. That's
just the whole concept of the general public in that film is probably the most accurate to modern day society I think we've ever had in a film.
So badly.
I agree.
Not just people in the background whilst all the action goes on, it's just on the forefront. What is happening is because of the general minority of people that believe that their opinion is correct regardless of whether it is or not.
For sure. And I mean, and on that, like, obviously we get Jonah Jameson back in this, played once again, like in the Raimiverse, by
J.K. Simmons?
J.K. Simmons,
There
thank
we
you. I was just like, I'd forgotten his name, that's
J.K.
not good.
Simmons.
Who is very much a InfoWars kind of figure in this universe. And his platform, it's interesting, I don't know if you guys kind of noticed, but he starts off like in a tiny studio, And after the whole Spider-Man thing, it gets bigger and more fancy as he gets more and more money.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
I'll have to watch it again.
And yeah, he's really quite menacing in this. Like in the Raimi films, like he always wants pictures of Spider-Man, and he can be quite mean.
Yeah, because he was just the, what do you call him, like a branch manager?
He was like the head of the press for the Daily Bugle.
Like, how hard is it to get pictures of Spider-Man committing a crime?
Exactly, that kind of stuff. But in this, he was much more like a real conspiracy nut who was just like, it's all Spider-Man, he's terrible, quick, film that thing.
Like Keemstar.
Yeah. Yeah,
not literally. I mean, I've not watched Keemstar, but just sort of like the set layout to begin with, just a desk and just him.
I mean, Alex Jones, Infowars, is the main thing I think it must have been, because he is a person.
I've not heard of this person.
That's okay. That's for the best.
I've already forgotten his name.
Have you not seen the like the memes they do of him where he'd be like, the water turn the frigging frogs gay?
Oh yeah,
it's not funny.
He screams a lot. Conspiracy. Literally stuck in my head now.
And make money off all that kind of stuff. And yeah, he was. It's true. And yeah, so that happens, and yeah, all the starting stuff with him and MJ and Ned and people protesting outside his school and like trying to get to his house, and the helicopters was. Yeah.
But the problem is, again, being what I say is probably the most accurate representation of current society, I believe that's what would happen if there was an actual superhero getting harassed and being called out for something they haven't done.
For sure.
People think they've done it, and they're not. And once they know where they live,
yeah. And then like he can't do anything about it, because then it'll be like, I mean, one of them was like, Spider-Man pushed me, or something, weren't they? At some point, I think at the start.
Yeah.
Like, did you see
I don't
that?
think he actually. I think he I'm trying to remember the name. What's his girlfriend's name? Okay.
MJ.
It's MJ.
It is just MJ.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Mary Jane, but it is still MJ.
Yeah, I think like one of them was getting quite close to MJ or getting a bit pushy, so he sort of gets in between them. And
Yeah.
like, oh, Spider-Man pushed me. Spider-Man pushed me.
Exactly.
Did you see that?
Yeah. It reminds me of when we were watching season 1 of Korra, and there's the Equalists, and she's just like, this isn't true of all benders, and they're like, they're trying to silence me. The Avatar's trying. It's like, you can't win.
No.
Luckily, he gets Matt Murdock, and hopefully when we get the She-Hulk season, on Marvel. Sorry, She-Hulk, not Hulk. She-Hulk. She's a lawyer, and she does superhero cases.
She's also a lawyer.
And she's also like 7 foot tall and green. But if we ever get Matt Murdock in a show, it could well be there, and that'd be very cool. But we get him here, and he's like, they've got no actual grounds, they've got no proof to convict you, but it's the people that are going to be the problem.
Yeah.
And that's when you get the brick, and you get the daredevil instinct, and he grabs it, and it's very cool.
Still love that scene. The fact that they both go for it.
Yeah, you get Spidey sense, and
the only reason he gets it first is because he's closer to it.
Yeah, to the window. And how did you do that? I'm a really good lawyer. But it's cool because like I really enjoyed Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. And Iron Fist season 2 is actually pretty damn good. And it did kind of suck that they ended all of those Marvel shows when Disney Plus started to be a thing. But it seems like they at the very least with Daredevil, which was definitely the top one, I'd say, of the 4. At least with that, they seem like they're going to try and
slams that document down on the desk. People for a very long time thought that was Charlie Cox.
everyone that people vaguely at least speculated were going to be in it were pretty much in it. Yeah.
Remember anyone?
Those
No.
ones definitely all were, but
I think that was it. Yeah.
But yeah, so he goes. Which makes sense because Doctor Strange was blipped for 5 years. Which I was like, huh, I never thought about that.
I can't remember how that happened.
How he became the Sorcerer Supreme.
How? Yeah.
Didn't he take the place of the previous one, which was his master, I believe? He just gone. I think he was just really unlucky.
Yeah.
Which was for 5 years. And they just removed half the population.
Oh.
He just got
of
really
those.
lucky.
So he made the Sorcerer Supreme because he was the only sort of senior one left.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, I see.
Blipped isn't technically the right word. Blipped when they came back, but it's.
I thought blip meant as in like he'd done something wrong. I forgot. I didn't realise. Blip
no,
was
blipped
the term
is an
for
in-universe term for being dusted and then coming back 5 years later.
It was talked about a lot in Spider-Man Far From Home.
Spider-Man Far From Home brings that up. It comes up again in WandaVision with Monica Rambeau.
I need to see that still.
And again in Hawkeye when you guys watch that. You've not seen WandaVision either?
No.
Oh boy.
I'm definitely going to need to after what's going to happen. And
You need to watch it before Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness for sure.
yeah, because I was a bit confused with that.
The end credits, which is just a trailer. You're like, cool, but what?
What?
But yeah, okay, no, definitely. But yeah, they go to see Doctor Strange, who is no longer the Sorcerer Supreme. He's still a very powerful sorcerer, of course. And Peter's like, can you help me? Because, I guess we rushed past it, but they're basically trying to get into their colleges, and none of them will take.
everyone around him was getting affected by people knowing that he was Spider-Man.
Yeah, like he wasn't getting into any of the colleges, and neither was MJ or Ned. And they were like, it's. Yeah, no, I'm glad I never had to apply to uni. I mean, I never had to deal with any of those letters. But yeah, so he goes to see Doctor Strange, and he's like, "Can you fix this somehow? Maybe." And Wong is like, "No. At least don't get me involved." Which is a bit different to how he's in the trailer.
Yeah, I noticed there was an analysis where initially he was just completely against it in the trailer, whereas in the film he's just like, just don't get me involved.
Because he knows Strange is going to do it anyway.
Yeah, of course
and so he does. And what they do is they make it so that everyone in the world is about to forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Except not quite. Because Peter is, a kid and is like, well, Ned should remember, he's my best friend. And MJ should remember, because she's my girlfriend, and I don't have to do all that again. And Aunt May should remember, and maybe Happy should. And he keeps going through these things.
And then it's just random people that really aren't that relevant to him knowing that he's Spider-Man, and it just get more and more, and then...
I think the spell gets changed 6 times, and he thinks it's changed 5 times. I think he tries to change it 5 times. And it's actually changed 6 times, which people reckon is because Doctor Strange also made it so that he would remember him too.
I was about to say that,
because he cares about him, which is pretty sweet. And yeah, basically the spell goes wrong. Because of course it does. Because otherwise we would not have a film. Or it'd be a very different film. And yeah. So they're like, well, that happened. Did it work? No.
they sort of go off for a while, don't they? They sort of like, it didn't work. He gets
he
kicked
trapped
out.
the spell.
Yeah.
And then he speaks to him and he's like, finds out that Peter's not even tried to call the colleges to get them to reconsider.
Yeah.
You haven't. You came to me before you just tried the actual channels to try and get this sorted out. And so he ends up, on a bridge with a lady, trying to speak to her.
Oh yeah.
About getting them in the college, and then that's when we see the bridge scene with Doc Ock.
One just quick thing because of what I remember from the analysis video.
Go for it.
The one of the, I think it's the signs on the taxis is I think it was Stanley's. Was it birthday?
Potentially.
Or birthday?
Oh, wow.
They put a lot of like who's the director of these ones?
I can't remember his name.
It'll be here somewhere.
It's a familiar name. I just can't remember.
But there was another bit where when he's in
John Watts.
John Watts.
On lots of the number plates, John Watts put things. I think there's like numbers that relate to comic book issues and stuff as well.
Yeah.
It's all stuff that's cool like that. Yeah.
But when the scene of him being in the suit to suddenly turning the nanomachines off so that it reveals him in just a normal suit, the shadow on the car actually changes as his suit comes off.
Oh,
so it goes from being
cool.
a smooth Spider-Man shaped silhouette to actually his hair in the suit and tie, and it actually changes, which is just a nice little detail that they put
things
in.
that most people won't notice, but someone will if you don't do it, and then they'll be like, "You ruined the film because this shadow has not been changed." And I
expect better from you.
That's very similar to like what happens when the Doc Ock's arms like grabs him and puts him against that pillar.
Yeah, because there's less nano suit, so he has to move it, and that's why he sees. Yeah, so as we were saying, Doc Ock attacks, and it's Alfred Molina, and he's great, but he is not Alfred Molina. No, he is Alfred Molina. He's not Dr. Octavius. He is being controlled by the arms, because that's the issue in Spider-Man 2, is that the kind of neural interface is evil, and that can control him, and vice versa. He can control that usually, and so but we've got the little red bits in the octopus arms, and so he's just like trying to kill Peter. Eventually, discovers that that's not Peter. It's not his Peter anyway, because he's expecting.
So you're not Peter. I was like, well, I am, but we're like, no, you're not. You're in the Spider-Man suit.
Yeah.
Peter doesn't have like a robotic suit.
Indeed. And he steals the nanotech because again in Spider-Man 2 they are starting to practice with nanotech.
They do mention it. I remember in like the first Sam Raimi doesn't like in like the very first lines he says it's like
Oscorp is
I
using
read your
nanotech.
like book about like nanotechnology, like really amazing or something like that. I can't remember.
It's something like that.
Yeah.
Because isn't that part of how the arms work?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think so, because it's technology based off Oscorp stuff. So he can he can use it basically, but that means that Spider-Man, because it's Iron Man tech, can also interface with it, which allows him to get the upper hand, and he saves the lady, and she's like, "Thank you, I will, try and reconsider the stuff and figure it all out."
Because she sees firsthand that Spider-Man isn't a bad person.
No, he's not.
And he just saved her life.
Exactly.
As opposed to people just like, oh yeah, he's a murderer and damaging. She's seen him both as a person and as Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly. Which is cool.
That whole fight was just really
The
good,
fight with
especially
Doc
when
Ock
they
is
brought his
great.
theme back from like Spider-Man 2.
The music was really cool, how they utilised all of that as well.
And then it was the bit when the Green Goblin shows up.
Green Goblin shows up.
And Dr. Octavius is like, that's not possible. He's dead.
Yeah.
I watched him die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you watch him die? Or did you just know he's dead?
No, I think in the first film, Norman Osborn died.
Norman Osborn gets stabbed by his own glider.
Yeah.
Which is really like,
We'll come back to that.
We'll get back to that. That was.
And so in this one, Doc Ock. So Doc Ock's in Spider-Man 2, obviously. So Doc Ock knows that Norman Osborn's dead
because obviously
he dies in the first film.
Timeline, yeah, because it was a couple of years apart, wasn't it? I think a couple
Something
of years.
like that. It's a little bit. Again, it's been a while since I've seen it, but yeah. And I believe, because again, it's been a while since I've seen the film. Then after that, he gets brought back to the Sanctum Sanctorum by Doctor Strange, who's like, "There's visitors now."
And he's already got Lizard and
he's already got
up.
he's already got Lizard there. Lizard doesn't do a whole lot in this.
No.
It's cool to see him, but he doesn't do that much.
I agree. But even like the way, I don't know whether this is true or not, but apparently like he wasn't actually there to be actually physically on set. So apparently that's just him and doing voiceover.
Interesting. I guess we don't really see much of him not as Lizard.
I can imagine there's not a huge amount that he could be doing.
Well, what's interesting with Lizard is, again, it was kind of the because he's on So Amazing Spider-Man 1, he's the Doctor. I can't remember his name.
Kurt Connors,
that's the one, but he's great in that, and he
I remember that film.
I forget the specific scientific name, but he's, he wants to, get his other arm back because he's only got one arm, and he does it using this lizard DNA because they are able to regrow their tails and stuff, and it goes a bit wrong and makes him into an entire lizard, and kind of that affects his brain and makes him.
He's like, now I want everyone to be lizards.
Everyone lizard, exactly.
Best plan ever.
Reject monkey, become lizard, or something. But ends up at the end of that film, he saves Spider-Man. He grabs him and Spider-Man's going to fall off the ledge. And they're kind of, he's in prison, and I think they start setting up Sinister Six with him. But he kind of, they're on amicable terms. So at what point he's taken from?
Don't know.
It's kind of tricky, which is the same as Electro.
Yeah.
But again, I really liked the stuff that they did with Jamie Foxx and Electro, and he looks a lot more cool this time.
Really cool, but how did that even work?
But that's the thing.
That's a plot hole.
So, I'm not sure it is because he says he remembers being taken as he was about to connect to the grid.
That's in 2, right?
Which is in 2.
Just that little bit. But
so I think he was taken literally at that moment, and then the alternate technology of this universe is different, and it changed him. It's little things that I was like,
that doesn't make any
care
sense.
That it's a bit odd, because it was really cool to see him and have the actual star, lightning thing, and the yellow lightning instead of the blue.
The blue.
And his comments about I thought you were black, and then maybe there's a black Spider-Man. So hopefully we will see Miles Morales soon in live action. That'd be cool.
I think they hinted it, didn't they, in one of the Spider-Man films where it was his nephew.
In Far From Home, no, in Homecoming, we see Donald Glover playing Uncle Aaron, who is the Prowler.
Ah, I missed that.
And he's like, I don't want this stuff coming through this town either, or this, I've got a nephew. And then he calls Miles at the end. He's like, I'm sorry, Miles, I'm not going to make it. So we know that Miles exists in the MCU already. But maybe there's a Black Spider-Man already in the webverse, because it definitely seems like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man we're getting at from a much later point than we see him in the films. And it's also speculated that we might get a third Amazing Spider-Man film now, because everyone seems to love him again so much, which would be amazing.
They better.
Be so good.
We want that.
But yeah, Lizard's already there. And everything is going wrong.
Because one thing they all have in common is they all are taken just before they think they kill Spider-Man.
They usually before they think they kill Spider-Man, but in actual fact, it largely seems to be before they die.
Spider-Man kills them.
Kills them, or they get killed.
Yes.
Which is, again, why it's slightly is a bit complicated with Lizard, because Lizard doesn't die.
No.
But
neither does Sandman, though.
Neither does Sandman. They end up on pretty friendly terms. Yeah. But at the very least, in terms of Electro and Green Goblin, they do die. I can't remember about if Doc Ock dies.
He does. Yeah, I think he drowns in the river, doesn't he? He's doing the thing. He gets the arms back under control, and I remember it's fine.
Oh yeah, the power of the sun in the palm of my hand. Yeah.
That line.
So yeah, at least some of them, which is still enough, because he doesn't want them to die, which is a really cool angle for the film to take.
Mm-hmm.
Where Doctor Strange is like, we need to send them back to fix all this because everything's messing up. He's like, but if we send them back, that's killing them, and he does not wish to do that. But yeah, his suit's also messed up, so he puts on his old suit inside out, which is why it's all black and stuff. And they go, and I'm misremembering what thing happens when in the film now, but they go find Electro, who's like charging up with the power from a different universe, and that makes him yellow. And Sandman's there. Spiderman I'm used to. What's going on here? And then they take them back. But he's not supposed to be here either. And Norman Osborn, who is back as Norman Osborn and not the Green Goblin, smashes the mask and goes to feast. And I mean, seeing Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, and obviously John Holland was incredible, but he was terrifying as Green Goblin in this one.
Yes.
But he was so like sweet and just a nice like old man as Norman Osborn as well. And it's like
you can really see the contrast between
Yeah.
the two when it switches.
yeah, like the scene where you have the Spidey sense being like something's wrong.
Who is it?
What's happened? It
That was a great shot.
so good. It was really tense.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're skipping over things. Basically, Norman Osborn turns himself into Feast, where Aunt May is, and she gives him those clothes. So he comes in the Green Goblin outfit, and she still brings him in because that's what she does and what Feast is about, which is also really nice, but also really sad for later. And so they all end up in the containment cells, and Doctor Strange wants to send them back, and they're like, no, and then they have the whole cool fight, which is really cool to see them use their powers, and Doctor Strange use his powers and make him web himself with the portal and push out his astral self, but because of the Spidey sense, he still can't grab the box.
That was still cool.
And that's why he's like, nope, 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 nope. It's like, how's this working? But yeah, it just seems to be like an extension of Spidey sense, which is pretty cool. And then how they discover that the
fact that he manages to bring himself back into his body.
Yeah. He's like, go. And then how he uses the mirror dimension or whatever it is, because he figures out it's just basic Pythagoras or geometry or something.
Geometry.
It's maths of some kind. It was still more mathsy than I knew because I've not done maths in a while, but it wasn't complicated. It was pretty simple, and he manages to keep Doctor Strange stuck in there and get out.
For hours.
Cool. Yeah.
He just chilled in the Grand Canyon for hours.
Yeah. But yeah, there's some really cool imagery there. It will be really cool to see more Doctor Strange stuff in Multiverse of Madness. But yeah. He's like, well, I want to help them. Maybe if I can help them and, get them sorted, then they won't die when they go back. And so they go about trying to fix the arms for Alfred Molina, Doc Ock, because Norman Osborn obviously can help right now because he's not Green Goblin. And once they set the arms back, then Doc Ock's Dr. Octavius as well, and he's actually a nice guy too, because it's the arms that are controlling him. And so then it's like, they've got these good scientists, and it's just like, it's really quite nice to have them all working together. And
like a little montage.
Yeah, a little montage. Them, and
Mm.
Norman Osborn being like, do you want like a job? Because you're really smart. You can somehow come to my universe.
Because Oscorp doesn't exist, does it?
Because Oscorp does not exist
which
here.
Is very interesting.
Which is interesting because we weren't sure about that up until now. But yes, it definitely doesn't exist.
They
There's
confirmed
no Oscorp.
that, yeah, which is good.
Yeah. And they managed to get like a thing to drain the electricity from Electro, and a serum for Lizard, and I think it's like a sound wavy thing for Sandman or something. It's something to do with sound waves, I believe.
I don't remember.
I don't know, because that would mean I don't think that completely cures him of being Sandman. That just stops him from being Sand.
Yeah, that might have been it.
I'm sure.
I don't
I think it
remember.
was similar to the serum for. I'm not good with the name, but the Lizard.
The Lizard one stopped him being a lizard.
And I think the other one is just the other one turns him back into just a person rather than being made of sand.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, they figure these all out, and they're like,
Wasn't there a bit in that scene or thereabouts where they were talking about how they got their powers, And then Electro's just talking about like, I fell into a vat of eels or something.
Yes.
Oh yeah, there's a great one. It's like I fell into a vat of eels and I did, and they're like, damn, you don't fall into stuff. It's clearly it's a bad plan.
How many times they've fallen into things? Yeah.
Yeah, and how it keeps going.
I forgot about that.
Some of the like the humor between like the quote unquote villains was great, but I liked how for a lot of it they weren't outright villains.
No, they were just actually sort of accepting like we might be fixed.
Yeah, like they were like Electro wasn't too sure about it, but Sandman just wanted to get back to his daughter.
Yeah.
And again, Alfred Molina, Doc Ock was happy to help, and Norman Osborn
because initially he was like, I don't want you, don't touch me, and then once he gets figured out, he's like, well, you've actually. And he was aware of how he was, and he's like, I'm back.
It's because it's like he was a passenger almost, and the arms are in control, and then it's flipped, and he's in control of the arms again.
Because I never noticed that the lights on the arms, that the red was the control.
The red is the eye.
Never noticed that.
Yeah. That's
At
how
all.
they're the bad ones, and then they go white.
Yeah, didn't notice that. That's good detail.
Yeah. But then obviously we get the alarm bells because Doc Ock is speaking to Norman, and then you do, if you watch it back, you notice the switch.
Didn't notice it the first time.
I didn't the first time either,
No.
but then when I was watching like the video, he says something about how you're going to be cured, and the response is like, that's Green Goblin now, that's not Norman Osborn
I
anymore.
think I remember that, watching a video very like that as well. Very similar to that.
Yeah. And yeah, Spidey Spence, luckily, he does manage to stop it. I think the camera also hangs on May for a while, because, again, Spidey sense, and it's like, well, she's in danger. And yeah, then Green Goblin basically screws everything up. He's something of a psychiatrist himself, and basically explains to everyone, like, well, do you really want this? Or, he's just going to, like, basically re-manipulates everyone apart from Doc Ock.
Doc Ock's the only one who's actually been fixed.
Yeah.
Whereas the others are in like a state of, do I want to be fixed or not?
Contemplation.
I'm not sure. And then Green Goblin's almost basically doing what was happening to Spider-Man at the beginning. It's like the Spider-Man's good, no, Spider-Man's bad, and manipulating.
He manipulates them, and yeah, Electro and Lizard seem unsure about changing back and stuff the whole time. Like, again, Sandman doesn't really seem to care.
They forgot about Lizard though. They just sort of dumped him in that lorry, didn't they?
Yeah, they throw Lizard in the lorry, and I mean he breaks out obviously
when everything starts going wrong.
Exactly, because it's like, well, we can just use this place. This place can be our place, and we can have power. And yeah, then everyone starts fighting, and I do like that Doc Ock isn't ever not on Peter's side from this point onwards. He's basically a good guy. I heard some speculation that he might actually take the arc reactor, because he's the one who pulls the arc reactor off of Electro at the end of the film and disarms him. He might actually take that back to his universe, which means he has an arc reactor, which is interesting because that is very almost the sun in the palm of his hand. It's a lot of power, so...
He sort of disappeared though, didn't he? Like, he sort of got flung out the window by Electro's electricity, falls down, gets on a building, and just... Does he go anywhere?
We don't see him for a while because we're focused on what Peter's doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, he like tries to stop them, but yeah, gets electrocuted, but seems okay, which is good, because I was like, no, be careful, but...
Please don't die.
But Electro leaves, and Lizard has run off, and Sandman sands, and...
Away.
Yeah. Sky and Sand, goodbye. But then we get a really, really brutal fight between Green Goblin and Spider-Man. Like, I forgot that Green Goblin's, like, super strong. Like, because he's, like, throwing them through walls and stuff. And I was like, I forgot he could do that. I thought he was just a guy in a suit. But he's not just a guy in a suit. He's really menacing. And again, because he doesn't have the mask this time and the faces. And, like, Willem Dafoe tried to do as much of it as possible. He didn't want a stuntman to do it for him, which is... We're seeing more and more lately, I feel. Which is really cool. Obviously, there's some things only trained professionals can do, but it's really cool. And again, he's
It's so
He's
impressive.
getting on. He's quite old.
He's 66 years old
66,
at least. He
yeah.
did, like, back, 25 years ago, I think they did the original.
It was a long time ago, that
I
the
think
originals came
I think that
out.
was one of his reasons why he wanted to do it. He said, I can come back, but I want to do
if I do my
myself.
own stunts and stuff.
Good for you, dude.
Yeah, and it's really,
You see it, like, just how...
really
It
visceral.
was really violent for, like,
Yeah.
a 12 film. Like, that was a bit... Whoa.
Yeah. And, they wind up on the ground floor, and May is still there, and everyone was like, no, why are you here? What are you doing?
Go away.
And she tries to attack him with the hammer. But she gets hit by the glider. But she seems okay,
Yeah.
which was even worse. Because everyone was like, no, oh, it's okay, she's fine. Oh no, she's not fine. Oh no,
Well, she was hit by the glider, which has a big spike
Big
on it.
spiky
Yeah.
bit.
And there's also, he sets
She's
off one of
bleeding.
his grenades,
He set off a
yeah.
grenade as well. I forgot about that too.
which sends
Yeah.
her flying.
Yeah. Because Aunt May, I don't believe she doesn't die, really. Uncle Ben always dies. That's kind of a key
Yes.
factor for Spider-Man. So either Uncle Ben or in Spider-Gwen's case, it's Peter Parker. But there's always someone incredibly close to them who dies, and it's almost always Uncle Ben. But Aunt May usually doesn't, and then she died in this, and Spider-Man PS4 as well. Again, it's kind of a spoiler, but I don't imagine you're going to play it at this point because you know PS4. But
No.
great game. She dies in that too, and I think that was like the first or one of the first times that Aunt May ever died, and now she's died twice, and it's been incredibly sad both times.
If I have £1 for every time Aunt May died, I only have £2. But it's sad that it happened twice.
Yeah,
I got that reference.
yeah, and that's a reference too.
It's sad because if I felt bad, but I didn't actually properly cry at that scene. I knew it because you knew it was gonna happen.
I
as
don't
soon
remember that. It was more the other Spider-Man later
Yeah.
coming back and trying to comfort him about it.
Yeah.
That was the real gut punch about it.
It was still a phenomenally good, well acted scene. Like Tom Holland.
Tom
Oh
Holland
wow.
is so good. But
Yeah, really good in that.
I saw there was a post from a YouTuber that I'd semi-watched who was just really upset that this film had higher ratings on on Tomatoes or something than The Lord of the Rings did. At this point,
Wow.
and also Rotten Tomatoes and stuff was not really a thing. This film and you didn't like it as much, but that's just not true. Tom Holland has really been phenomenal, and then like I said, Willem Dafoe was great, and Ned and Zendaya were always good. One of those is a character name and the other one's an actress name, but you know who I mean.
Mhm.
And the music and the action and it was all great. But yeah, and J. Jonah Jameson is there being annoying again, but yeah, he's not comical in this at all. He's just
No.
really just straight up a menace. Which is
It's ironic, isn't it? Because he's calling Spider-Man. It's
he's almost like, we need to go there now. Everything's
Yeah.
happening.
Doing more
Film it
stuff.
all. It's not fun. But while that's happening, Ned and MJ, who had left earlier, Ned has the sling ring, and apparently his aunt was, used to say that or his grandma used to say that he had the gift or something, and it turns out he can use magic, which is interesting. If it was maybe just we need them to get there somehow, let's use Ned, or if that is something they're going to do in the future. Again, Ned's forgotten everything now to do with Spider-Man, so he'd have forgotten that, so maybe not.
Yeah.
But also, I believe in the comics, Ned becomes Hobgoblin. So who knows what any of this means, if anything.
There was a point where
There is a point where they're like, you're not going to turn on me and become evil and try and kill me or something, right? And he's like, no, why would I do that? I'm your best friend. Or something like that between Tom
I don't
and
know that.
Ned.
Yeah, because wasn't it there when the other two Spider-Men were there, and they were talking about
my best friend, and he tried to kill me,
Yeah.
and my best friend, and he also tried to kill me.
And looks at him. He's like,
Yeah.
"You're not gonna try and kill me, are you?"
Yeah, and it's like, no. It's like in the comics, yeah, he does do that. But I guess it depends. We might not get any more Tom Holland Spider-Man. It's unclear.
I think we might.
I'm pretty sure we will.
Because of one of the little endings after the credits.
Well, what Tom Holland himself has said.
Oh, is
is
this outside of the film?
Yes, this is outside of the films.
okay.
Is that he could do more. He might do more, but he feels like he's happy with the trilogy, and it might be time to not have Peter Parker being Spider-Man again, and to have Miles Morales or Gwen Stacy or something as a Spider-Person instead of just more, Tom Holland. And again, he's got so many things going on.
If you think about the whole MCU, there are a lot of Spider-Man films.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's the whole trilogy for him, and then he's in Infinity War, he's in Endgame, he's in Civil War. He's in a lot of films already, for sure.
And I'm sure he's going to want to do other things. He doesn't want to be Spider-Man his whole life.
Exactly, So I mean,
He's got a pretty good portfolio.
He's done, like, if you look at his interviews, and he's like, oh, if I ever got to play a superhero, I'd really want to play Spider-Man. If you had to date a celebrity, who would you want to date? Zendaya. And they're together, and it sucks. The media are not giving them space, but again, making it. What's your favourite video game? Probably Uncharted.
He's now in Uncharted.
He's now Nathan Drake in Uncharted, which I'm quite excited for. The first trailer, I was like, this looks fun. I'm not entirely sure it looks like Uncharted, but it looks fun. The second trailer looked a lot more like Uncharted. So I'm excited for that. And it's just like, he's doing very well.
It feels like it's almost like he's got the whole entertainment media in the palm of his hands.
He's basically done.
I want my own game show.
He could probably do, and he's just apart from the fact that he's not very good at keeping secrets,
I think
which thank goodness he did for this Spider-Man film.
Yes.
But
he's one of those actors that is like really gaining in popularity, and I think I was talking to my sister the other day, just completely out of it. I was like, I wonder, because how obviously the James Bond films are changing over now.
Sure, yeah.
Who's gonna be the next like James Bond and all that? And I said, as a joke, I was like, if I find out that it's actually Tom Holland, or whatever reason, whatever universe we're in,
sure,
that'll be interesting.
Would be
maybe, who knows? Because he's like 25 years old.
He's a couple of years older than us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
26,
something like that.
Have you watched I think it was the Hitman's Bodyguard's Wife?
I've not seen that one.
Okay.
I've seen the Hitman's Bodyguard, and it's not like good, but I love it.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to see the Hitman's Bodyguard's Wife, and it was just when COVID was like still really big, and so I just didn't get a chance to go and see it.
Yeah, we saw it last month.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It was okay. It was good in places. It wasn't as good as the first one.
Yeah.
But there was a character in that which Mark mentioned was speculated in rumours that they might be the next James Bond.
Okay.
Because he carried himself as an agent.
Sure.
In that film, he had the tuxedo. He
Yeah.
had a very elegant British accent.
Sure.
And
Okay.
carried himself very well in the fight, and you sort of think, oh yeah, I can see that. Yeah, he's definitely got a James Bond vibe.
Yeah, I'm really not sure who it's going to be.
I don't know. It could be anyone at this point.
It's going to end up being Dwayne Johnson as James Bond.
Again, I could see it. I don't think so. Again, he's doing incredibly well right now.
He's in like everything.
He's everywhere.
Everything.
He's in Fortnite.
He's not.
No.
Fortnite.
Oh, I'm gonna look this up.
Can you smell what The Rock is building?
I think like I watched. Have you ever seen the film?
DC Super Pets. He's gonna be Black.
God.
He's gonna be Black Adam, which is really cool.
What you gonna say, Black Widow?
No, Black Adam. That's the like
Oh, what was that film?
anti-hero from the Shazam series.
And
he's a really big like
what was it?
talker about the Snyderverse as well.
You know
which is
that,
really cool.
that was it. You know the new Jumanji film,
Yeah. Oh, obviously
the
he's in those
first
as
one. I
well.
watched that with my mum, and we actually really enjoyed it.
They're great. They're really good. They're really good fun. The second one's great as well.
Oh, the first one's so fun.
I've still not got around to watching Red Notice, which I can't believe because I really want, because that's just Ryan Reynolds, Dwayne Johnson, and Gal Gadot.
I've seen that.
Oh, that sounds
And
amazing.
It just seems really funny. Like really funny.
Red
film.
Notice was there wasn't really any serious moments in it.
No,
it was
it's
it was an okay film. It was
if something
funny in
entertained
parts
and funny, that's all I really care
Yeah.
about. That's all I need.
yeah. You'd probably like it. I mean, I didn't mind it. I wouldn't watch it again, but I didn't
Sure.
mind it.
It's just one of those things. I'm like, oh, cool, this is out, and then I've just not got around to watching, which happens. But I'll get
Ryan
round
Reynolds
to it.
film that I have watched that I did really enjoy was
Deadpool.
that was good, but
Deadpool
not
2.
I haven't. No, I have
Free
seen that.
Guy.
I haven't watched Free Guy. I need to watch that.
I still need to
It's
see that.
Guy's so good.
oh god, it was like I think it was an Amazon Prime.
Is it a newer film or an older
Six
one?
Underground.
Six Underground.
That was another Netflix one. That was also really cool.
I didn't realise. I thought that film was really good. Who directed that? Wait, Michael Bay.
What?
It's because he knows what he's good at,
Oh wow.
and he knows what people's like. He knows what people like, and he just basically did that again, and it worked.
But the thing is, because
That's shocking.
you always see the memes of people go, oh yeah, he ruined Transformers and how Bumblebee was the first sort of
He
good
loves it.
Transformers.
I've still not
movie.
seen Bumblebee either. I
Bumblebee
really need
was
to watch
good.
Bumblebee. I saw the trailers and I was like, this looks cool. Also got John Cena in it, which, you know, like with Dwayne Johnson is surprising. Have you guys seen The Suicide Squad?
No.
Because John Cena is, I mean, it's a great film, but John Cena's great in that. And Peacemaker looks so fun, but we can't see it because it's not out in the UK yet.
Oh.
But yeah, no, Bumblebee looked really cool, and it's another one that's on my list of things that I want to get around to, and probably won't for ages. But
Pretty much the
hopefully I
same
will
with me
eventually.
in films.
It's true.
Just like,
It's
oh
true.
yeah, I'll add that to the list of I might watch if I ever think I need to watch
Yeah.
a film.
Yeah.
It's like I think. Yeah.
But yeah, like we were saying, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man come through, and they like do like some little flips and stuff at each other and
That was so good.
mess up the house, and it's just amazing seeing them on screen together and just being really cool and just like melding right back into the roles.
They were all just like so. It's like they never even left.
Yeah.
Like they were there, and it was like the biggest grin I had
I
on
love-
my face.
I love
Yeah.
it when they're all like working out how each other shoot web, and it was like, wait, you don't need
You
to
just shoot it from your
artificially-
arms.
Can you
from
also shoot it from we don't? We're just leave it there.
That was great.
That was good.
Before we get to that cool fun stuff though, we do see them. They talk about the Chrysler Building and the Empire State Building, which is where we see them in their respective films as like their place to reflect.
Yeah.
Which again, it's always nice to hear them talk about. But then they go and find Peter, Tom Holland Peter, on the building
On the
And-
school roof.
yeah, and they kind of help. You know, they also talk about how they've lost people too, and
Yeah.
you know,
The whole thing with Gwen.
with
Like when
Gwen.
he lost Gwen up. Oh, that scene
Ah.
stung.
That scene was probably my favourite scene from the whole film when MJ
Yes.
falls and he actually catches her, and then he has that sort of moment where he's so really emotional because that was a really
That was
good
so.
throwback.
Yeah.
It was the thing was like I have some friends who hadn't seen Amazing Spider-Man 2 or Amazing Spider-Man 1. I had some friends who hadn't seen any of the other Spider-Man films, and I was like,
wow.
you should really watch them. Like they were told what happened, and I was like, cool, but watch them and then watch it again, and it's so much worse. In the best way. But
yeah, I rewatched that scene for Amazing Spider-Man 2 again. And his acting is so good.
Just a slow motion shot of like him
Yeah.
shooting the web as it goes through the debris to catch her, and he's just too
And
late.
it's the it reaches out the hand as well, and
well, it's because he
yeah.
does get her, but she still that she still hits the ground. Was this time he doesn't use the web, he just grabs her.
he jumps
Yeah.
off,
Instead.
grabs her,
And
then
lands.
uses that to go down. Yeah.
And I do remember when I saw like the last trailer, people being like, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man is gonna grab her, but it didn't like ruin it at all. It was
Remember
still
that.
amazing.
You just don't expect it because you don't expect the glider to come in.
No,
When
like
you
I was
saw
like,
that
oh cool,
scene.
okay, Tommy's gonna. Oh no. Oh, okay, cool, that's good. But yeah, we get the whole with great power comes great responsibility line again, which is also really cool, and again shows like even across the universes, this is another thing that always seems to happen to a spider person. And then we get, them kind of being like, well, we can still try and help them. And, obviously one of them has done stuff with Sandman before. One of them has made the lizard thing before. And then in the script for when they're talking about Peter, and they're like, yeah, apparently it was literally like meme from when it's like, Spider-Man,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
you Spider-Man, just pointing.
The script came
That's
out.
intentionally what that was meant to be like, and that was just amazing to see all of them. And I
It's-
think that's when we get my best friend became
I
the
can't
symbiote
remember.
and then tried to kill me. And my best friend became the Goblin,
All
Green
the
Goblin, and
Harrys.
it's Harry. It's always Harry, and tried to kill me. And
Something
I'm
about
like, Ned's
Harry.
not gonna try and kill you, right?
Yeah, it's always the Harrys, isn't it?
It is always Harry, one way or another. Unfortunately, it seems.
Yeah, it was Harry in the first one, and then it was Harry in like Andrew Garfield's one.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it was very last minute in the second one.
Yeah. Again, it's the thing that they probably would have expanded on in the third film that
But
they didn't
obviously
get.
we're not getting Sinister Six, probably.
Unless we do.
Maybe.
And then you've got...
Yeah, I think that's it.
That's it. Like, in when we have Into the Spider-Verse, like, you've not really got anything like that yet.
No, I watched that film recently.
Such a good film.
It is.
I need to watch it.
It's really,
Jamie.
really good.
That's one that... I might have to be like, hey, Jamie, come round.
Oh, it's much better reacting to it. Please.
Honestly, that one. I mean, Mitchell's vs. the Machines as well. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, and then Gwen Stacy in which is her kind of Uncle Ben moment.
Oh,
Which you
really?
do if you... Again, this is like a very minor spoiler with a taller spoiler. Like in Spider-Verse, when you see that she says she can't save Peter Parker, he's got like little scales because he is...
Is that in the film, really?
That's in the film, yeah.
I missed that. Wow. I am not very
Little
focused.
scale.
You will see when you watch the film
I'm going
very soon.
Is that a threat?
No, it's not a threat. It's just a comment.
Again,
I've seen the cinema wins and I've watched it so many times that I will probably just spend the whole film and be like, "That's a thing, that's another thing," and I'll try not to ruin the film, but I might. But I know I won't. But I will point out that bit when that bit comes up. But yeah, it always seems to be the thing that happens with the best friend becoming evil and then dying or
I'm glad to
something.
see that.
Which is, it is this thing that happens, unfortunately, apparently, around superheroes and stuff. Captain America too, I guess, with Bucky, but then he's good in the end, so...
I like to have there's an entire film to just Captain America sort of being faithful to his best friend.
Yeah.
That was just the whole, like... So I thought I was your friend, it's like...
Yes,
yeah.
but it's complicated.
Yes.
And yeah. Oh, Civil War's great. But again, this Spider-Man film, so they make the things and they have some talks and it's all pretty cool, and then they go off to fight. Also, Doctor Strange comes back at some point.
He comes back, I think, during the fight.
He comes back during the fight, yeah, because Ned's still got the sling ring for now.
Yeah.
And they take them onto the Statue of Liberty. They meet the others there. And there's a big fight, and it's really cool. And that trailer in Brazil, or wherever it was, where Lizard does get kicked in the face, was indeed Andrew Garfield kicking Lizard in the face.
Oh yeah.
One of the trailers they didn't edit correctly, so Lizard instead of just jumping, he's gets jumped and then gets kicked, and people are like, well, they've cropped out Spider-Man there, and they've not changed the Lizard animation, and it was correct. That is what happened.
Because he does a kick over, doesn't he? Sort of comes around and then the way it sort of.
And so we get all these Spider-Men, and it's going very badly because the other two they don't work as part of a team. They are solo acts.
Yeah, and then we got Peter Parker. He's like, well, I'm used to being in the team. I've worked for the Avengers.
Is that a band? You're on a band?
That's
well, and the three of them, it was just so good. I also loved the bit when Andrew Garfield, because I don't know if you guys heard this, but when he's just like, I love you guys.
Yep.
He just
ad-libbed that.
Because he just really wanted to say it. And it's just
and
so
they kept,
sweet.
they ran with it.
It's that's great. And I love how the other two are like, cool, man. Yeah, we love you too.
Because they're not expecting him to say it.
Because they're not expecting it.
Like,
and they're not expecting it. So it works really well. Which just makes it even more sweet.
That's so cool.
Oh, God. Tony Stark's actor.
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. Yeah, apparently, you see him sort of eating during certain scenes.
Yeah.
In Avengers and other films. Apparently, he's not supposed to be doing that. The cast
hides food.
He hides food around, and the cast and the producers don't know where he hides it. So he'll just be doing a scene, and then he'll just pick up this bag of food and start eating.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And the bit in I don't know if it was Age of Ultron when he has a bag of blueberries and he offers one to
Blueberry. Yeah, someone.
I think he offers it to Captain America, and he's just like no, and then he offers it to Hulk actor
Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo.
Bruce Banner.
Yeah, Bruce. He offers one to him, and he actually takes one.
Yeah.
None of that was supposed to be there.
What?
Yeah, cool.
He's just like, he had a bag of food. He was just like, do you want one?
That's crazy.
Well, a Spider-Man related scene as well in, I think it's in Homecoming. He says, or it might be in Civil War. He says, "I'm gonna sit there, so you need to move," and that's just because Tom Holland had forgotten the blocking. But it works perfectly well as just Tony Stark being Tony Stark. Robert Downey Jr. is great.
Wasn't there a scene as well in the film where Tobey Maguire, because he's like really older now, like lot older.
He's quite old
to crack
now.
his back, because obviously.
The back stuff, because he does get his back really badly injured in one of the first 3 films.
I didn't realise that. I thought obviously that scene where he just falls on that car and cracks his back. I thought,
exactly.
Obviously
He's fine. It's like
he's fine, and then he actually does do something pretty bad to his back.
Yeah. So that was another really great bit with them doing all that stuff. But yeah, when we get to the final fight, it's really cool. There's lots of cool stuff happening. Again, that's harder to describe, but it's very cool. It's cool to see, that this Tom Holland. No, I was trying to remember that. I'm getting the names mixed up now. This Spider-Man. The others have been able to teach him things about, with great power comes great responsibility and all that kind of stuff. He can teach them about being a team. And they do like the web where they spin off of each other.
That was cool.
And all that kind of stuff. And then we do almost lose Ned and MJ, but then Andrew Garfield Spider-Man saves them. And then we get Doc Ock back, and he manages to disarm Electro, which was really cool. Because I wasn't sure what was going to happen there.
He appears up and he's quite menacing. He's like, is he going to help? What's he going to do? And I can't remember what he says, but it's just...
It's like, got this. And he's grabbed them both. And you're like, no. And he's like, whoop. And like, yeah. Seems good, but what's he going to do?
The way they framed it sort of made you question it.
With Andrew Garfield Spider-Man about, I thought you were black, and we talked about that already. And Lizard is there too. Yeah, exactly. And then Sandman, they're gonna get him stuck inside,
the Crown of Liberty.
Do the thing as well, and he's fine. And then it's just Green Goblin, who again is really menacing still, and
the lighting and the way they captured his face with the contours of his skin just make it look like he's wearing the mask almost.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, it was really great. And obviously now, Peter just wants revenge and wants to kill him. And Green Goblin isn't gonna care about that. It's almost like a Joker situation, really. But obviously that's not Norman Osborn. Norman Osborn's a really sweet guy who helped you and was trying to help everyone. He didn't want to kill Aunt May. It makes it so much worse. And luckily, because we get the Andrew Garfield moment with saving MJ, and then we get the Tobey Maguire moment with him saving Green Goblin. Whereas in the first Spider-Man film, Green Goblin does get stabbed by his own glider. This time, Peter Parker Spider-Man, oh my gosh, Tom Holland Spider-Man tries to stab him with the glider, and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man's like, no, don't do it.
Yeah,
that's not worth it, which is great. And then I was like, you're going to get yourself stabbed. Please don't get yourself stabbed. And he did get himself stabbed, but luckily he's okay.
That scene that's probably one of my favourites.
But that's another one.
There's no words in it.
It's just looks.
Grab the glider. Him goes nuts, and he still is continuing to push the glider, and you just see
it's so good.
Tom Maguire, just the look on his face just says everything for it.
Yeah,
it's so good.
And then they managed to stab him with the thing to.
I had a bit of gasp in the cinema when I went to go see that. When I was like, Like, you know, like, oh my gosh, they actually stabbed Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
We haven't seen you for so long.
But yeah.
We don't lose you.
And there's a bit where the other Spider-Man's holding him up and he's like, are you okay? He's like, no, it really hurts.
Yeah, it's like, you're on pain, aren't you?
Like,
Yeah, it hurts so
really
bad.
hurts, doesn't it? Yeah.
That was great.
They're walking away,
But yeah, it was really cool to see all the different suits again as well. So I've always loved the Amazing Spider-Man suit.
Yeah, that one looks
so
good.
Cool. Like I like the fancy Iron Man suits we've had for Spider-Man because it's a really cool change. But I know lots of people are like, well, I don't like Spider-Man being an Iron Man thing. It'll just go to be his own thing. But that's basically what they set up at the end of the film.
Yeah. Which
I also loved. I was like, this is like a prequel. And then we've got regular Spider-Man. Whether we'll see him or not's another matter. But I'm
sure we will.
I think
sure.
I think we will at least once or twice.
This film did so well. I'm sure they will.
Yeah, exactly.
Money.
But yeah, and then it really sucks as well. It's heartbreaking that like Norman Osborn, you know, when he's back to being Norman Osborn's like, what did I do? Because he doesn't remember any of it or anything, and it's just But anyway, Doctor Strange is back, and he's like, there's more coming through, but then I can't stop it. And like you see some like little silhouettes of people, and there's some other Spider-Man villains in there, and I think there's like Scorpion and
Kraven the Hunter
and
Black
stuff
Cat.
like that. Black Cat maybe, yeah, things like that. But Peter's like, well, what if I forget? What if everyone forgets me? Like absolutely everyone. Like, might that do it? It's like, well, maybe.
Oh, and he sort of hesitates because
he doesn't want to do it either.
No.
He doesn't want to forget Spider-Man. But he does do it, and everyone forgets Spider-Man. And it's really emotional again.
That last scene with Ned and MJ.
Yeah, it's
that
really sad.
got me. I was bawling my eyes out.
Just completely forgot about him because you almost didn't know if there was going to be a key word, and they suddenly, or I didn't know if Doctor Strange was gonna. So I just noticed. I didn't know if Doctor Strange was going to secretly put in a spell that at least those two remembered him, so that they when he reunited, it was like, I remember you. Like,
yeah.
Well, he didn't. It's everyone has forgotten him.
So yeah, and we do get him to the point where he has made his own suit, and it's more red and blue.
I couldn't see it very well. I knew the colours were. You can't get a proper good look at it
No,
because obviously it's end of the film, last final swing.
But he's got his he's in his new flat. He's still got the little Darth Sidious from the Death Star that he made with Ned, and then he goes and sees them at the shop, and they get their college things. They're going to the college they wanted. And interestingly, MJ's still wearing the necklace.
Yes.
The broken necklace that she liked more now that it was broken. So clearly there's still something
there
holding her to that.
But it's probably a thing where she's wearing it and she feels like it's sentimental, but I don't know why.
Exactly. She doesn't know why but that was really cool. It was heartbreaking to see them be like, you know, they're friends. And because again, he wasn't at a lot of the events that they went to either because he was busy Spider-Manning.
Yes.
It's like he's not at the homecoming. He wasn't at the monument when all that stuff went down because he was doing other things.
Video talked about that, and it's like that's sad.
But the life goes on. But it's really cool, seeing him just be like his own separate thing. And then so we get the end with him being Spider-Man, like Spider-Man we expect, where no one knows he's Spider-Man. He's got basically no money. And assumedly he'll try and become a reporter at some point.
It's like the biggest origin story ever.
Pretty much in a way.
For all these films, like that's just his origin story the whole time.
It pretty much is like a prequel to Spider-Man. Spider-Man. It's kind of how it feels. So, blah 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 blah. Speaking. Why am I doing this? It's made it more complicated. Yeah, I remember to cut that out if I don't. I enjoy that random garbled nonsense second time. But so it seems like maybe they remember something, but he's going to say, he almost is like thinking if he's going to say about things, and then he doesn't say the things. Also, there's like a character there who kind of looks like Stanley, an old man.
Yeah.
Who it's like, it's not obviously him, but it kind of looks like him, which is also sweet.
He would have been so proud.
Yeah.
This film.
Yeah, especially this one being Spider-Man and everything, which is really cool. But then we have the post-credits.
Oh, yeah, that one.
What's the first one?
I think the first one is the Doctor Strange trailer.
No,
I think the first one was with Tom Hardy.
That's what it is.
They get drunk in a bar.
So
it wasn't
have any of
funny.
you seen Venom Let There Be Carnage?
No.
I haven't seen either of the two.
Neither.
Okay. Oh, okay.
But
So
I knew it was him.
I'm gonna watch Venom.
Venom and Venom 2 are films that people dislike because it's cool to dislike them.
Really?
Yes.
I thought they did quite well.
Well, they did.
It did, but I
but
think
people still dislike them.
You people weird.
People are weird, yeah. They're films that are like, they're fun superhero films from before everything had to be part of a bigger picture, like the
Right.
MCU and all that kind of stuff. And that's all they are, and that's all they try to be. Like, they're funny, they're goofy. The humor doesn't always land, but Tom Hardy's great. Tom Hardy as Venom is great. And it all looks pretty cool, and it's a bit more edgy and stuff. So I didn't see Venom in the cinema, but I saw it since, and I saw Let There Be Carnage in the cinema. And that does end with him winding up in the MCU. And it seems like, again, from some speculation, that apparently Venom was supposed to be more a part of it at one point, and then something happened that didn't end up
changed their
happening.
mind.
They had changed their mind, or maybe COVID or something else
Who knows?
changed how that worked. And so there was a Sinister Six. Venom just didn't show up for it because Tom Hardy and Venom, they just wound up in the same place, which is like some tropical island somewhere that's miles and miles and miles away from New York. So obviously he can't get there, and just is really confused as to what on earth's going on.
And drunk.
And
I bet you he's drunk.
Oh, he's drunk because he has no idea why he's here
No.
or what's happened. I was like, but who's Thanos and why was
Yeah.
what? But then he goes back. But some of the symbiote is left behind.
Oh yeah, but that it's gonna be hard because like, how is that gonna work? Wouldn't that be more better with Andrew Garfield's universe?
Well,
than
this is the
that
thing. We have
one?
because in the Morbius trailers, we have the
Yep.
picture of Spider-Man which says murderer on it. And we also
Yeah.
see Adrian Toome, who is Vulture.
Yeah, that doesn't. Yeah, how does that
So
work?
we don't know how any of this works, and assumedly we'll find out, or it just doesn't work. And Sony's getting confused.
There's been rumours going around because the reason why it's been delayed again is we don't know. They've not said why.
No.
There's little rumours going around
Yeah.
that they apparently want to halt production for a little bit longer to
Mhm.
do some more recording of scenes
Yeah.
with Andrew Garfield.
I think that's the most likely one.
Me
but
too.
The thing is, everyone's forgotten that Peter Parker or Tom Holland is Spider-Man.
Yes.
Mhm.
But the whole event with Mysterio has still occurred. It's
Yes.
just
Yes.
nobody knows it's him. So the
Yes.
whole fact that Spider-Man's a murderer, I think it's still Tom Holland's universe.
Okay.
But at a point where nobody knows who Spider-Man is, but those events have still happened.
We will see. It's hard to say because there's other things, like there is an Oscorp
Oscorp.
in Morbius. And
the
there's not one in
same-
the MCU.
Yeah, it's the same
So
text from
It's the same
Spider-Man,
text as
yeah.
I think the web ones.
I
I think so. It's
think-
complicated. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Either they'll figure it out, or it's just an amalgamation of stuff in
Mhm.
this, other universe. And I'm fine with that. It'll be interesting to see. I just want to see Matt Smith again as a villain.
Yeah, that was really like when I first saw the trailer, I was like, "That's Matt Smith! Like, what's he doing here?"
He seems to be the bad
He's
guy.
gonna be a villain, of course.
He's like with all doctors, they are very good bad guys.
I mean, who's playing Morbius? The guy.
Morbius is Jared Leto,
Jared Leto. That was it.
which will be cool to see because,
Mm.
like, I didn't hate his Joker in Suicide Squad, and when he got to play the Joker against Christian Bale, no,
It's
not
Walking
Christian
Phoenix. Is
Bale.
that his name? He played it in
no.
the new one.
Joaquin Phoenix is Joker in Joker. He
That
is
was it.
brilliant. Obviously, Heath Ledger, may rest in peace, was amazing. And then you've got like Jack Nicholson or something who was the Joker in one of the classic ones.
Wow,
and he
there's
was
so
great.
many.
There's a lot of Jokers, but then obviously Jared Leto did something different and people didn't like it.
Mm.
And that was fair enough. Apparently, again, a lot of it got cut because the Suicide Squad that we got is not the one that they've recorded. But then in the Snyder Cut, you get him against Ben Affleck's Batman in like the nightmare sequence. And again, it doesn't quite fit in the film, but it might have been the only chance they were ever going to get to put the two things together. And he was really great in that. So it'll be cool to see him in this, and hopefully it's better received.
It should be good. I mean, I'm obviously my sister Amy's really wanted to see it over me because I hate vampires. Like, I hate them in media. Like, it's a running joke. I'm like, I just don't like them. I think they're boring. Like,
What do you think about Blade? Then?
I've not seen Blade. I've not seen... That changed my mind.
Well, because Blade is like part vampire, but also a vampire killer.
I don't know. We'll see. We shall see.
It's Mahershala Ali, so...
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see what the
old film now, isn't it?
Well, the original Blades are with Wesley Snipes. So yeah, they're like 80s or 90s.
Good couple of years old now.
And they are, again, like the very, very early quote-unquote superhero films. But they are doing a new Blade with Mahershala Ali, who was... Cool. You've not seen that. You've not seen that. I can't think of what else he's in. So never mind. But he's a really great actor. And he was at the... Have you seen Eternals?
No.
Okay. You've not...
Nope.
Okay.
No.
Never mind. More films to see, basically.
So many.
But yeah. So yeah, so Symbiote in the MCU now. We'll see what they do with that. Morbius may be related, it might not be, we don't know. It's complicated, it seems.
Good to do a discussion of it when it comes out.
Absolutely.
That's really interesting.
We absolutely will. And then Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, featuring Wanda and Elder Gods and horror things and stuff, which looks really cool.
It's being done by Sam Raimi, right?
Sam Raimi.
Which is very interesting.
Which is cool because obviously the Raimi Spiderman films are by Sam Raimi, but he's also a horror director.
Oh, yeah.
So that's going to be very cool.
He's going to make scary because that's his roots. That's what he did in...
Yeah, it is.
I was scared at the doctor surgery scene in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Only seen that scene once and it scared me as a kid. I remember watching that.
Horror directors tend to be like really pretty good at doing superhero films, it seems.
Interesting.
Because like Shazam, I believe, was done by a director who does a lot of horror, and granted, some of that is really scary.
Not seen that one.
You've not seen Shazam? Shazam's
No.
a lot of fun. And then Aquaman's more like high fantasy, I'd say, than superhero, but that's by James Wan, who again is a horror director, and the scary stuff in that is very scary. But yeah.
That's actually pretty cool, though. It's like directors getting to try something else and do what's different.
Try something
style.
different, exactly. Which is really cool. I won't say too much about Multiverse of Madness because you guys haven't seen WandaVision yet. And I mean, you're not going to need to, but I would highly recommend you watch it.
I'm definitely going to. Is it a couple of episodes long?
It's 9 episodes, I think, but the first ones are, on the most part, quite a bit shorter.
Right. Okay.
So it shouldn't be too bad.
Okay, it's doable.
It's manageable. You can slot it in somewhere. You've still got a while before that one comes out. So, but yeah. I mean, there's definitely stuff we've missed, but we've covered most things. We've been talking for a while. So before you just round out, I guess personal enjoyment of the film, rating from 1 to 10.
As someone who hasn't really seen or could remember,
Sure.
the past Spider-Man films and hadn't seen Far From Home,
Yep.
I still really enjoyed the film. I didn't feel like I understood enough of what was going on, and even sort of the little bits were sort of I picked up on.
Sure.
The only bit I didn't, which I didn't really get at the time, was when the other two sort of Spider-Men were showing up.
Sure.
I didn't clock on that they were the previous actors. It was
Right.
only because the audience had that reaction. I thought, okay, they're returning cast.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But as just a film, I would say high 8, low 9.
Okay. I'd probably go 9, potentially pushing 10 out of 10. I think I'll need to watch it again to confirm that, but it's been a really good year for Marvel films for me. Shang-Chi is one of my favourite Marvel films of all time.
Shang-Chi was really, really good. I enjoyed that.
And then Eternals, I screw what the critics think. I think Eternals was great. It's not quite on this level, but that was really cool. I really like Black Widow as well, but this was, again, this is probably top 5 as well for me. So yeah, definitely 9, maybe 10 out of 10. And again, I don't think you need to have watched all those previous films to still really like this one, but it definitely just adds to it.
It really does. I think it's not bad fan service. It's good fan service.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of good fan service if you know what to look for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whereas if you don't, and you're not looking out for that kind of fan service, then it's still a good film.
It's still enjoyable.
Nonetheless.
You can still understand. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, what about for you, Amy? Emily, wrong name.
It's fine. Yeah, definitely 9, maybe a 10 for me. Like I said, I've only seen it the once.
Sure.
You know when you're paying attention to so many stuff on the first watch. I can find nitpicks. I can now think of nitpicks. I'm like, oh, I didn't like that. Didn't like that. Like few little plot holes, nitpicks here and there. But I generally think the whole plot and the characterization was really well done. And it definitely deserves the popularity it did, because I'm glad it did really well.
For sure.
Seeing all that, the old Andrew Garfield and Spiderman stuff was great.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, I had the biggest grin on my face. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And just the fact that you've been lying for us for 2 years, and then you finally surprise.
No one was really asking Tobey Maguire about it.
No.
It was only Andrew Garfield, because Tobey Maguire's not doing whole lots of other films, I don't think.
No.
But because Andrew Garfield is doing other stuff, it came up for him a lot more. Like Tick Tick Boom is supposed to be really good as well, which he's in, and I've not watched that either.
I was going to, and I sort of I checked the time. I was like, oh, it's 9 o'clock. It's a 2-hour film. I'm not starting that tonight.
Yeah. But yeah, cool. Well, yeah, we've talked for almost an hour and a half on this. Mainly about this. We've talked about other things as well. But thank you for listening. We'll be back at some point with a review on, Morbius and other things. But until then, we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Cabincast. For more episodes, go to www.cabincast.podbean.com or use the Podbean app. You can now also find us on iTunes and Pocket Casts under Cabincast and on YouTube. The uploads here are quite behind. Finally, you can find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Cabincast. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.